Hello friends, good afternoon. My name is Shavikesh Goyal and I'm here to share a few thoughts about how do you get out of your comfort zone. So maybe a quick question, how many of you have been taking some risks? Would you call yourselves a risk taker? In whatever small or big form of risks if you have taken ever. I mean, you can ask yourself, don't give a response to me. But if you have been taking risks, fine. If you have not been, because most of us don't like to take risks, we are actually very comfortable with the comfort which we get into. Whether it's the comfort of going through the life as it goes, especially during the pandemic. For example, working from home. People are very comfortable working from home. Initially there were hiccups, but now people are mostly hesitant going back to the office. Binge watching, spending hours on Netflix or other such media. And this gives a kind of a comfort which, when there is an opportunity to go beyond that, or there are circumstances which say, or which force you to think beyond, there's a certain discomfort. But what if you were to go beyond your comfort zone? And how would you do that? When I started in my primary schooling, right, maybe about 8 or 9, 10 years old, grade 3, 4, 5, I knew somehow, it was intuition, I knew that I would not be letting myself get into my comfort zone. I did not even know what comfort zone meant. I was too small, too young. But still there was some intuition in my head which said, okay, fine, you will not be comforting yourself. I was not very good in communication, especially the verbal English communication. It was not that I did not know the language. I was not, let's say, comfortable speaking it. I was more hesitant while speaking. But that did not deter me in experimenting new things and trying new things. So what I did was to overcome my fear of speaking in public, stage fear, right? I ensured that whatever the school was conducting, debate, declamations, poetry recitation competitions, drama, theatre, every school has some skits and all going on. I ensured that I would attend all of this, I would participate in all of these. Now I fumbled, I miserably failed several times. I was ridiculed because that's how it happens, Children tend to make fun of the other children who are not very good at things they try to do. But I said, okay, fine, let them keep laughing if they want to laugh. Let me keep trying. Now what happened by doing this continuously, consciously, I kept on getting good at it. So when I turned into teens in my grade 10, 11, every teenager I say is fixated on certain things. They have certain ideas that this is what they want to do in life. I also had one. I wanted to become a doctor. I was very passionate of becoming a doctor. But I did not realize how much of hard work and studies would it entail to be one. And forget being one, even to get into a medical college. So I studied very hard to the best of my ability and appeared in several such examinations, entrance examinations, pre-medical as they call. And I failed miserably in all of them. I could not qualify any one of them. So as a result, I tried doing it for 2 long years during my grade 12 and after that, and I did not, I failed. And I said, okay, fine, what do I do now? So there were 2 options during those days. Either you became a doctor or you became an engineer. And while I was a reasonably good student in maths in class 10, I did not have an affinity for this subject. So even today when I teach my son, he's sitting here, I like teaching him, but if you ask me, do I really like maths? Maybe not that much, but I'm okay. Now the challenge was that I could not get into an engineering college because I did not have maths in grade 12. So you do not have PCM, you don't qualify to be an engineer, you can't even sit for an exam. So what do I do? So what I did was I studied the grade 11 and 12 maths, calculus, which was alien, which was very difficult. I had no clue what it was. Studied for a few months, sat for the exam for grade 12 as a private student, cleared the exam, and was able to get into an engineering college not because I cleared an entrance exam, but because of my marks in class 12. So my PCM was about 75%. That's what a particular private college wanted. So when I joined the college, and I was probably the only one who had no such great skills in mathematics. So I would ask such stupid, rudimentary, elementary questions in class, in multiple classes actually, not only mathematics, other subjects as well, which they would laugh at me. They would ridicule that. I mean, you don't even know this. This was taught way back. And how could you get into an engineering college if you don't know this? This was discomforting. I mean, you can imagine. I was now an adult, and the peer pressure, the fear of humiliation, public humiliation, in a classroom of 30, 40 students, it is enough of a humiliation. But I did not, again, let that deter me not asking those questions. As I said to myself, that if you ask a question, you are a fool for 5 minutes. If you don't ask that question, you remain a fool forever. And I certainly did not want to remain a fool forever. Now, I studied in Bangalore, my engineering, and at least those days, I'm sure it would be now even, Bangalore was the hub for college festivals. There were inter-college festivals, intra-college festivals, and I had never even heard of a college festival. When I came from a small town, I did not know what a college festival was or if it existed. So I started visiting these college festivals, participating in them, just to ensure that my fear of public speaking or my let's say lack of communication skills did not prohibit me or prevent me from doing things which I wanted to do later in my life. I even participated in a singing competition once in one of the colleges. Obviously, I'm not a great singer. I'm not a singer at all. But because the competition was open for everyone, I did. You would not believe it. There were about 1,500 students there, and on the stage, there were very well established singers, good singers. They were coming, and because the crowd was booing them, right? They were crying with tears and going away, middle of the performance. And I had a few of my batchmates, we had gone together. I said, Shafikesh, don't even try, You would be ragged completely here. I said, no, since I'm here, I've given my name, I have to. And I went to the stage and started singing. It was horrible, of course. I realized it was horrible. The judges were sitting on a sofa like this, just in front. They were in splits. They were laughing their heads off. And suddenly I saw some people throwing tomatoes from the crowd. But believe you me, I did not stop. It's a fact. I completed the song because I came to sing the song, however bad it was, and I was a horrible singer. They kept on throwing tomatoes. I said, okay, keep them coming, yes. And I was singing, imagine, close it as in imagine how it would be. Maybe you've never seen something like this ever in your life, live. But I did that, not to prove a point to anyone, but this was just to ensure that I did not fall in a comfort zone. Now, when I went to the principal of the college, he said, are you out of your mind? Conducting a college festival? We have never done this before. I said, fine, but we should do. I said, yes, okay, go ahead and do it. So you actually believe me that I did end up organizing a college festival, and we did about a 3-day long college festival. Probably it was the only time we conducted one. There was never one after that. It was such a big hit, and people were wondering why did we never have one. So this experimentation, and see, why don't we change? Why don't we go beyond our comfort? Because of the fear of failure. And I think all of us have faced failures, and the more failures we face, most of us tend to get back, go back into a shell, say, no, I will not do this again, right? Because failure means embarrassment. Failure could mean humiliation, public humiliation, because if you're doing something publicly, you fail publicly, right? You don't fail in private, and that is something which people are very uncomfortable with. Then if you get into a company, I don't know whether some of you are working or not, but if you start working in a company, you are given a function based on your skills, your education background, your experiences, whatever. And most of the people start in that function and retire from that function. That's my small advice to everyone, to, in whatever small way, try coming out of your comfort zone, try experimenting and see how it goes. Worst, it may not work out. Fine, big deal, move on to the next one. So thank you for your attention, everyone. Thanks a lot.